You have a full armchair, which is
we got an armchair. We bought a new armchair, and it's the comfiest comfiest thing you've ever sat on.
And you put it in front of a computer desk.
Well, I've moved it here,
Okay.
This is like the dream setup. I'm telling you. This is
you get to
unbelievable.
Relax. And
let me
stare
show you
into
this.
my eyes.
Got a little drink station.
Yeah, wow. You're putting me to shame.
Oh, dude, I'm all about I need to be comfortable when I talk to you because you make me uneasy. So, yeah.
Look, I need to find any stability that I can.
And it's a little bit similar to a therapy session as well. So,
yeah,
I think the more comfortable I am, the more I'll, hopefully not use the N-word.
Yeah. The uncertain thing is, I'm not sure whether you're giving me the therapy or whether I'm giving you the therapy, because I could buy that you're the one advising me about my problems.
No, I don't.
I mean,
I feel like I learn. Oh yeah, well, fashion definitely, but I feel like I'll be your fashion therapist. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I feel like you learn less from me than I do from you, which is a regretful admission.
Well, it's just because we don't talk about fashion enough on this show, to be honest. We're getting lots of complaints about that we have no tips for this season whatsoever. So maybe if we did like scoot more into your corner, I'd be able to learn from you a bit more.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can do a fashion app.
I can't imagine that.
So should we talk about Parsnip Gate? God damn it, that shit has blown up.
I was gonna
ridiculous.
save this for a segment called Snip Chat, but I think we can jump right into it now. Let's do it. Snip Chat.
Well, I've got a few questions about this. So you posted a thing from the Deep Thought Facebook account about parsnips, and here's the thing that I'm like just baffled by. That you put $25 behind it. I can see that, Nick. I can see that you boosted. And the thing about that is,
I know how to back a winning horse.
Right, but you didn't do that like once it started to get a bit of momentum.
I did
you
that.
You did it from the start.
Before, yep.
I obviously find that kind of joke funny because there's like almost zero payoff apart from me basically seeing it, because people just see it as a sponsored post and they're like, why the fuck are that? Because it's kind of, it's not funny until you think about it, really, and people aren't going to think about it. But I've thought about it a lot, and it kind of annoyed me because you've had a few of these posts that you've had one post that like you had like
one about the dog.
Why don't dogs close their eyes when you kiss them? Which is hilarious.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at my own joke, but I forgot that that's what that was.
It's fucking funny. And that got like 400 likes.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for you and everything, but there's definitely a part of me that I put out some zingers. I feel like I've put out some zingers. Nothing has caught. And you've had like 3 or 4 of them.
I'm sorry. Look, I think some of it is just confidence, right? Like I knew going into that one that I was hitting on a very...
Sorry. The post was basically how good a parsnip. Like that's not a winning horse.
I knew that was a winning horse. I knew out there that this was a topic for the people. You know, I think sometimes we get a little too caught up in the high and mighty, elite world of our white person think pieces, and we forget about the working family out there who just want to talk about their parsnips.
Well, yeah, it was the fucking comments on that was just filled with, and I'm not talking about a few comments. I'm talking like 30,
dozens of
40 comments of mostly like middle-aged women just going, yeah, I mean, this is what you can do with parsnips. Like,
it was a lot of suggestions of recipes. Cook them.
How is this coming up in their feed for one?
Well, I targeted it to 18 to 65-year-old New Zealand, and I just knew. I just knew that there were some snip fans out there.
Snip fans.
But there's
snippers.
If you're a snip curious kind of guy now, and you're thinking, I've not been appreciating this vegetable. I had a genuine sort of revelatory experience when I was cooking with them last week. I was like, wow, this is a vegetable that I get now. I get the appeal. It's got a little bit something spicy, a little bit something that's in the radishy family where you've got that kind of, that zing to it. It's a little bit more interesting than some of your regular roast veggies. And I was totally on board with it. And I thought I've been doing a disservice by not speaking my truth. So I put it out there and I connected. I connected with the people and I learnt so many new and fascinating things. Ways to cook them, ways to mash them with carrots, ways to roast them with a bit of honey. I got parsnip ideas out the wazoo.
The wazoo. Yeah, mostly from women named Helen. Which I think was 30% of the comments.
30%, yeah. I mean, I did get one person kind of have a go at me a little bit, but I think the genuine perspective from most of the respondents was appreciation. And I'm not going to let one negative repeated commenter drag me down. I'm definitely not stewing on it.
Name and shame. Let's dox him right now.
Okay. Let me bring it up.
You're going to do it.
Going to bring him up. Sometimes what you say has consequences, people.
It's a public forum, folks.
It's a public forum. You post publicly, you get shamed publicly. Okay. 2.6 thousand people reached. 160 post engagements, 43 comments.
Absolute
bullshit. Just one of our most successful. Shall we give a sample of some of the positive comments that we had, just for those who haven't checked it out?
Let's go through them, yeah.
Yeah, we got, one here from Vinny. Parsnips are beautiful. And leeks, Brussels sprouts, etc. Yummo. Oscar, coming in strong. Parsnips are the best veggies ever in the history of the universe to the extreme maximum. That's some hyperbole there, but I support the enthusiasm. Here's one from Jenny. Love them roasted and with swede and carrot mashed together. That got 10 likes. Thanks, comment Jenny. Itself got 10 likes.
What?
Yep.
That's when you know you've got a winner.
That's when you know when the comments are getting likes.
Yeah.
I think KT says it kind of best. They just got a bit of extra something about them.
Yeah. And, well, we know Katie.
KT. Do you know the KT?
Okay. You know her as well.
Oh, okay. Well, she's very on board with this.
Oh yeah.
There was one sort of. There's a couple of negative things dragging it down here, and I don't like to dwell on it, but Dylan's comment. Ever tried uppercutting yourself? And then a whole slew of negative emoji faces. That's a little bit harsh, Dylan. That's a little bit of a.
What does that mean?
Ever tried uppercutting yourself? It's telling you to
punching yourself in the face.
Punch yourself in the face is what you're saying there, Dylan. I think that's a fairly aggressive comment for a nice little love-in.
Why is he saying that?
He's very aggressive. He's very aggressive about this parsnip community that's formed, and and wants to take it out, I think.
Yeah, the default snippers.
There was one comment that I particularly appreciated from your very sexy girlfriend Emma, who said, "I made a mushroom and parsnip roasty pie last night." I asked what I thought was a reasonable question: with pastry? Because sometimes you can make a pie and it's just sort of like a casserole, I just wanted to know, was it wrapped fully around in pastry? Was it covered with a lid? Dylan.
Well, funnily enough, I did have that and it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was just casserole.
Well,
no pastry.
I don't know what casserole means.
Okay. It was like a stew.
I don't know.
Okay. You said you had it, but clearly you didn't.
It was a bit crusty.
Okay. Well, Dylan comes swaggering in to what was a very nice moment between your girlfriend and me.
Is this the same Dylan?
Same Dylan. He says,
here we go.
At Nick, this is because I replied with pastry, ? At Nick, do pigs walk on 4 legs? Question face.
That's funny. I'm going to give that a
Getting some real sass.
Right now.
I'm going to delete it before you like it.
No, don't delete it.
Well, I think we've made very clear that the Deep Fort Facebook is a positive place. And, if a member of the community jumps in there and brings the rest of us down, or anyone down, but also me, then I'm going to retaliate with the full force of the law.
Okay, well, this is not the law. This is a dictatorship. Dylan, you got yourself a like. Because it's funny because it's usually do pigs fly?
Yeah.
And that's the opposite, which I respect. I guess that's a... Who is this Dylan? Oh, he's got a he's exactly what you think. He's got a weed symbol in his profile picture saying, "I'm voting yes."
Yeah. So, some opinions out there. And we welcome all voices here at Deep Thought, but also, a little bit of nice. A little bit of nice goes a long way.
Yeah.
Fuckwit.
I mean, I see Dylan does have kind of a point. I mean, it's ridiculous. Imagine, this is what I wonder. These people that are commenting, they've just seen it. They don't know that we're a podcast. All they see this page called Deep Thought, and it's just you being an idiot, basically, and saying how good are parsnips, and then all these people
being an idiot,
have. Well, it was stupid.
raising a good point. I think that people responded to. So
okay, but these people are wanting, they're involved enough to comment, which is absurd.
I think the underlying message here is actually how corroded our discourse and society has become, where this is the kind of thing which can get in front of people's eyes and make them engage on Facebook. And isn't it worrying for the state of our democracy that anyone can just push nonsense out in front of people?
And that's what you were really trying to...
That was sort of the underlying message.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than, of course, parsnips, give them a go. Get out there, try a different vegetable than what you've done before. Have you had yams?
I mean, aren't yams just tinned sweet potatoes?
You sounded like a real idiot right now, Michael.
Wait, aren't they?
Sweet. For someone who looks like Costa the Gardener, you don't know the first thing about vegetables, mate.
What are they then?
Welcome to Deep Thought, everybody. So delightful to have you here, and what has been quite a big week for us in the social media front. And to all of our new listeners, those who just liked our page, those who might have noodled around and found the audios, lovely to have you here. This is probably the most we've ever talked about parsnips on the podcast. But
probably.
I say hold out and see what's coming, because you never know. It might trend that way now going forward. Sitting through the internet with me, my friend Michael. Michael, do you have anything you would like to say to the audience at this point?
I appreciate that. I was just going to say that we actually lost followers, so don't act like we gained any audience. We actually lost followers.
Gained some likes. So.
No, we lost. I checked.
I think we can have a look at those numbers later.
Okay, but thanks for the introduction, Nick, and happy to be here as always. I hate you. I hate that you're doing this on purpose.
And I'm Nick. Thank you for being here. Hi, Nick. Hi. How's lockdown been treating you now? 2 more weeks in?
Yeah, same. Really.
Samesies. That's good. You were okay last time, so samesies okay now?
Yeah, I can feel it starting to every now it's starting to get the better of me, but it's kind of it's getting more irritating, getting more frustrating. There's definitely because the Dan Andrews asked to he wants to extend the state of emergency in Victoria for another 12 months. So there's this whole hoopla now about, well, it's mostly coming from the Herald Sun and the Murdoch press, but everyone's saying that he's going for a power grab, and I think they're misinterpreting the state of emergency being extended as Andrews just wanting to extend the lockdown, which isn't actually true. It just enables the government to put in restrictions like mask wearing and curfew and stuff, but it doesn't actually mean that they will.
Yeah, but I think you're right. That the journalists at those papers would understand the distinction, right? So anything that they're fomenting amongst their readership to suggest that it is a continuation of this current state of affairs is
disingenuous,
deliberate and disingenuous, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it works for people. I can see how it would be very daunting to hear that. I mean, you feel I think the mood amongst Victorians now is that we've done 6 weeks, and when that was announced, it was fuck, because we've already done this lockdown. I mean, not to this degree, but we've already. It's felt like we haven't come out of lockdown since March, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been able to go to friends' houses and have 5 people there for a month. But it just feels like it's just been extended. Not that it's been extended, but it just felt like it's been ongoing for 6 months plus, and the idea of it continuing to go on further is like, it's like soul crushing.
Yeah, it's disheartening for sure.
Yeah.
And
but you look at South Australia, I'm seeing people on Instagram, friends that live in Adelaide and stuff, and it's like nothing's changed.
Yeah.
There's cafes and restaurants filled with people. There's nightclubs.
Yeah. I mean, that's been New Zealand as well. The interesting thing for us was that in our last podcast there, everything was good. We were clear. It was all fine. The day after we recorded, Auckland picked up some community cases where something had breached the border, and Auckland went into level 3 lockdown, which was not as strict as we'd done in March, April, but was the first increase of those alert levels in a couple of months. And not only did Auckland go up to level 3, which is work from home, I think you can still get takeaway and that sort of stuff, but no restaurants are open. Everyone has to stay indoors basically, and masks were mandatory, which was the first time that's been introduced. But the rest of New Zealand also went up to level 2, so we're now also at a high level again.
Right. What does that mean, though?
For us, that's just, as in for us in Christchurch, that is just keeping a social distance, your 2 meters between randoms as you go around your business, and making sure that you do the contact tracing, and sign in with the app and that sort of thing in every business that you go to. But for the most part, here, it's still basically business as usual.
Yeah, how's that app going? Because the app here just didn't work. It was a huge dud.
Well, it's interesting because they chose an arguably less sophisticated system, but one that is simpler and easier to use. And so the only thing that the New Zealand app does is let you contact trace. So when you walk up to any premises, any business in the country, there is a QR code on the door, and you pull out your phone and you scan it with the app, and it logs that you were there at that time. And then if anyone becomes infected, they can go back through your history of where you've been and notify all users who were in that premises on that day or whatever to go and get tested. And that's it. There is no actual... so the Australian app, as far as I understand, had this very convoluted system where you had to be open and have the screen open as you traveled, and it would ping other people's phones to let you know that you'd interacted, and thus every sort of proximity to a device that you encountered could then be traced if that same person discovered they were infected. But that technical failing of having to have the app open and on your screen for the entirety of your transit was just way too much of a imposition on people's habits, right? You don't want to be sitting there on the bus with your phone open on a screen you can't do anything with, right? So it was a bit of a dud because it didn't reflect the reality of people's actual use cases of how they use their phone and what they want to do with it.
Right.
Yeah, whereas for us...
Why don't they just scrap? Why don't they just... I don't get... Why don't you just scrap it and then say, oh, New Zealand did it this way. Why don't we do that? It worked.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. And to be fair, ours was a little bit privileged because we didn't have that many cases. So the priority could be on this sort of QR code system. But yeah, literally it's now mandated, I think, that every business in the country needs to use it so that people can log in that way. And it's not an imposition. You just have your phone up when you walk towards a supermarket or a cafe or whatever, and it's just bing, one click, done. And it's like 1 second.
Yeah. I gotta bring you up on this thing, by the way. That my best friend and I, Sean, we were talking, and he's totally with me on this on how you're pronouncing notify. You're saying it all wrong. No, he messaged me privately in full support. He was like, by the way, the way Nick says notify is fucked up. And then he brought up another point, along with a theory, which I think is very interesting. He's like, have you ever heard him say nachos? You say nachos instead of nachos. And so maybe you've got a thing about the letter O.
Isn't that contrary to my notify by saying nachos?
No, because it's O, and it's notify, and it's nachos.
That's what I'm saying. You want me to say the O the way I say it in nachos?
No, you should be like nachos and notify. That's how you say. Like it's like you're from another planet when it comes to the letter O.
Look, actually, can I be completely honest to you?
Oh my god, yeah.
This is the first time on the podcast I've ever been truly honest.
Okay, please don't. Don't do it.
The nachos thing is actually a very sensitive subject to me.
Is it? Is it really?
I'd
be embarrassed too.
Okay, that feels like you're not on side. So this is a safe space now because I'm talking quieter. So if you could,
all right, sure. That's what that means.
If you could respect,
I should get my hat.
This is we've entered Nick's safe space. Okay. So if you could
that's a great idea for a segment, by the way.
If you could just respect that by not making fun of me right now.
It respected.
So in year 7 and 8, it emerged at school that there was some criticism of the fact that I said nachos.
Is this true?
This is 100% true.
Oh my god!
This is Nick's safe space.
I'm getting backed up by your fucking year 4 bullies.
That was actually year 7.
Oh my god!
I just
Why
said that.
Why did you not stop saying it?
I just said that year 7 and 8. This is when it first came out that some people thought that it was
There's something a bit off about
a bit silly to say nachos, and so then there was some discussion, and two of the people with very strong opinions were British, and I felt like that muddied the waters because they were definitely speaking with an accent.
I can see that, yeah.
And they really wanted it to be nachos.
Oh, it was the first part that they took issue with.
Well, it was both. They were trying to say it was O's, and like there was some support there for the O's from the group, but they were also very much nachos, and that felt too far for me.
Right.
But they were very insistent that just because on paper it looks like one word, nachos, and not a plural, like one nacho, two nachos, you know, that...
Yeah, do you say nacho? If you just have one? Can I have one nacho?
I say nacho cheese.
What are you, like Italian?
Yeah.
Can I have one nacho, please?
Give me a nacho. Yeah, so it became a sore point, if I'm honest.
And now
I try and consciously say nachos when I'm in company with people that I don't know, just to sort of, I guess,
assimilate.
In. Yeah. But in my heart, when I look at that word on a piece of paper, my heart wants to say nachos.
Well, I mean, that's quite a nice little story now. I feel a bit sympathetic towards you. But what do your parents think about all this?
My parents are white, so they don't eat Mexican food.
Yeah, but what do they say? Like, where does this come from? Because the issue is that, like, you're taking...
As in, do they say notify?
Yeah. Like,
I think they probably do. I can't imagine where else I would have picked it up, right?
Because it's like... It's fine if you're like... I think you're taking two different accents and putting them together in one word.
Well, no. How do you say not? You say not, don't you? N-O-T. It's not. That's not right. Notify.
You can't just pick out another word. Like, all words are different. You can't just pick out another word and say,
yeah,
well,
but if you're complaining about the phrasing of one syllable... Sorry, just to be clear, we're now out of Nick's safe space and we're back into Michael's aggressive arena.
Oh, great. Brought to you by Pepsi.
Mountain Dew. if you say, if your problem is with the syllable not, then I think it's fair to look at that individually.
Yeah, but it's note. Like, you want to...
You don't say not note, do you?
You say note. What? Are you serious? No, it comes from note. Like
Notify.
a note. Like, I pass you a note.
No, that doesn't come from that.
Of course it does. If I pass you a note, that's like giving you a notification. I mean, it's directly descended from note. This is fun. The history of words.
I'm just looking up the etymology.
That's what I wish I just knew the word etymology.
Okay.
Or etymology.
Etymology.
Okay,
so notify or notify. I can
tell by the tone of your voice when you've like proved yourself right on the internet.
Is it that obvious?
Yeah.
I was just interested. I haven't actually. I'm not yet. I'm reading in real time. So here we go. Notify/notify, depending on how wrong you want to be, comes from the Middle English notifier, a borrowing of the Old French notifier. Note comes from the Middle English note, from Old English and Old French note, both from the Latin nota. So they're actually not from the same etymology.
Well, I'm still going to believe what I know to be true. I don't care about your facts.
I felt like in my heart this was true, and thus I continue to believe it. Either way, I think that if you do not agree with me, then you should just not believe it.
Well, maybe I'll get up a poll on the socials this week, and we'll put it to the people, and then maybe we can finally change, I guess, who you are as a person.
So, sorry, you're gonna put a poll up? You're gonna put
put a poll.
A poll up.
A poll.
You're gonna put a poll up?
I'll put a poll up.
Not a poll.
You know, when my mum, she's from, she grew up
Poland.
in England. No, not Poland. She used to say cinema, and I remember one day I was talking to my cousin Dan, and I was saying, are you going to see this movie at the cinema? And he was like, cinema? It's cinema. And I was like, is it? I was like shocked. And then I went home and I remember being so angry at my mum. I was like, you embarrassed me. You told me it was cinema, and it's cinema this whole time. And she's just like, Michael, it's just like an accent thing. And I was like, Mum, you fucking ruined my life here. How are you not seeing that? I've been saying cinema. Think of all these kids that I've been saying cinema to who are clearly now behind my back making fun of me as this fucking punsy twat.
And now you're taking out that insecurity on innocent victims in the podcast.
Exactly. I mean, look, we all know that aggression is passed, and bullying is passed down.
Hurt people.
Hurt people, baby. I'm going to get that tattooed. Oh, by the way, so just quickly, speaking of tattoos, I learned this week that one of my friends got 2020 tattooed on her arm at the start of this year, which is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And
maybe change it to 2828.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, who knows now, but
yeah, that's rough.
Isn't that the funniest thing ever?
I'll throw one more pronunciation thing in while we're talking about it, because this came out this week completely coincidentally. Yeah. So apparently, you know how we pronounce the words horse, Horse, and horse, Hoarse, the same way. Well, apparently they used to be pronounced totally differently, and they still are in certain dialects like Scottish. But it's very confusing because the way they're actually pronounced is the opposite of what you'd think they'd be. So the animal, Horse, used to be pronounced hearse, hearse, almost like with an E, hearse, or like an ARSE, hearse. And the word with it, like for a raspy throat, horse, HOARSE, was pronounced horse. So you'd be riding on a hearse and you'd be feeling hoarse. But they look actually, the way that they sound looks the opposite of how they're spelt. So I just thought that was interesting that over time it's become the same word, but not in some parts of the world. If you go to Scotland and you want to ride on a hearse.
Well, words are so interesting. Like I was thinking about the United States the other day, and that, you've got Europe and you've got Italy and France and Spain. They've all got different languages in such a condensed area. Yeah. And even in parts of England, you've got, different accents. And it's so crazy how accents get passed down. It's they're so deeply entrenched, and it's so weird that accents basically, you can have a parent that speaks, Spanish, or like even my dad, my dad's mum speaks, broken English. She speaks full Ukrainian, but yet he's obviously copied his accent from the people, his peers, like when he's been growing up in school and stuff, because he was, he grew up in Australia. So it's so crazy how like accents work, don't you think?
He's got a very like smooth radio voice as well. Like he has a nice voice. Like he's got a nicer voice than like most people's voice is.
Okay, are we doing like a dad off here?
No, I just
that's probably, he's a crooner though.
But that's what I mean.
Probably come from his music.
For someone who's effectively adopted the accent of people around him, or the pronunciations of people around him, right? That was your hypothesis, eh? It's interesting that it's like it's so natural.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of picked up a little bit of an accent as well.
A New Zealand accent?
Yeah.
I think I hear it, yeah, bits and pieces.
I mean, you say "a" now, like you just
I do say yeah, I do. That's not accent so much as like dialect, I suppose, but yeah. There are definitely, there are little words that like people say "wee" over here, like tiny, which is a weird Scottish kind of importation, or I don't know where it came from, but I went for a wee walk the other day. That's not an Australiana thing, but I find it like very second nature now. Like some of that stuff just slips in without even consciously realizing.
It's like these I think Richard Dawkins called them memes, like not like internet memes, but like they're these like little I think they're mimetic or whatever, mimetic devices that we're always like looking to how other human beings are doing things. I was watching this documentary on speed cubers the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. It's
people
on
do
Netflix.
Rubik's cubes really fast.
Yeah, and this guy, one of the best speed cubers in the world, was autistic, and his parents were talking about his autism, and they were saying he won an award. He won like the championship one day, and one thing that what autistic people don't really do very well is pick up those little cues from other people, or not cues. They don't copy other people that well.
Right.
And we don't realize that we're doing it all the time. And kids do it even more because their brains are developing and stuff. But when he was winning an award, and he was holding the trophy kind of weirdly, and he looked to the runner up, and he saw how the runner up was holding the trophy, and like put his thing down and rearranged it so he was copying. And his parents were like, it was like this groundbreaking moment for them, because autistic people don't do it.
Yeah. That's interesting, because that's also one of those human nature kind of inclinations as well, when like if you're in a social context, you'll pick up some of the body language, or you'll mimic like the accent a little bit. Like if you go overseas, you'll find yourself drifting towards like a midpoint of pronunciation. And you see it in animals too. Like that's how animals learn things.
Right. They look at like chimpanzees using sticks or orangutans. I can't remember which one. They see how they use sticks to, I don't know, pick out fish or pick out ants. That was one thing I saw. Like did you see that?
Use sticks to pick out fish. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was confusing one thing where I saw
just a funny
an
image.
ape like using a spear.
Yeah.
And then there was another one where like a chimpanzee licks the end of a stick and puts it down an ant mine and then licks it clean once it's full of. I mean, that shit's crazy. Oh, can I ask you about these? Sorry, we're getting.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get to a topic now, but that's okay. I think that this is vaguely interesting.
You went and saw gorilla. Oh no, wait, one more thing before I ask you about the gorillas. Sorry, this is just a series of tangents. I just wrote this down before. Speaking of words, that the longest sentence using only one word. Have you heard about this?
Is it buffalo, 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 okay. Buffalo, buffalo, buffalo forever?
Yeah. All right. Well, fuck me. But
do you want to explain to people at home who might not know what the rationale is?
I'll just do a quickly thing. I'll do a quickly thing. What am I having sex? The longest sentence in English using only one using the same word is buffalo, 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 buffalo. It's easier to read this because some of them are capitalized, but because buffalo is a noun, a proper noun, a verb, and a whatever, an adjective. Is it? Maybe not.
I don't know if it's an adjective. It's buffalo, a noun, it's a place, and it's a verb.
Yeah. That you can form an entire sentence just using one word.
So buffalo, the place, buffalo, the animal, and buffalo, the verb. And it's the verb which is a tricky one because no one's ever used buffalo as a verb before, but it means like
to
jostle
buffalo, to bully, harass, or intimidate.
Yeah.
Much like you do to me on this podcast.
Thank you.
You buffalo me quite a lot.
Thank you for the tie-in. So the idea is buffalo, buffalo, as in the animals that come from the place.
Verb.
Harass, verb.
Yeah, harass.
The animals, buffalo, buffalo, that the animals from buffalo also harass.
Yeah.
Buffalo, buffalo, the animal buffalo.
Yeah.
That buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yeah.
But you can actually, that's actually recursive. You can actually go on forever. You can keep referring to more buffalo, that the animal's buffalo, and it can literally be infinite theoretically. But yeah, I enjoy that linguistic little oddity.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I think it's also not the only one as well. There is something else, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, the same idea with a different word.
Yeah. I was just going to ask about your. You guys are always going to the fucking zoo, dude. You're killing me over here.
Well, there's only 2 zoos in Christchurch, and I hadn't done either of them. So
wait, only 2 zoos in Christchurch? What?
Yeah, well, animal parks, I guess.
Isn't it a small? I mean, Melbourne's probably got one.
Yeah, I think there's probably more than one in Melbourne. But like, there'll be one zoo and then maybe one like nature reserve or something.
So, are you going to the zoo just to spite me?
Yeah.
You think?
Well, I'm definitely sending you photos and videos just to spite.
Okay.
But I'm going
but it's
just
not an elaborate ruse between you and your partner. You know what would really piss Michael off in lockdown? Is if we go and see some apes.
And sit real close to them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so... going to the zoo is like one of those things that you don't like think about to do as an adult, but is actually really cool.
Yeah. It's always one of those things that I end up doing when I'm traveling. Like I go to probably a couple of zoos a trip. If I was doing an overseas trip and I was in a few different cities, I'd go to a couple of zoos.
What's the best zoo you've been to?
Oh, I don't know. The Berlin Zoo is pretty famous. That's a good zoo. Like, I don't like, to be clear to people listening, I don't like going to a zoo where I feel bad for all the animals. I would prefer to go to a zoo where they're like actually leaders in conservation. They've got amazing new habitats, that sort of thing. So I tend to be a bit picky. Like, I'm not just going to go anywhere. But
so do you research zoos before you go there?
I'll have a Google beforehand and just get an idea, because if it looks real sad, I'm not going to enjoy it. I've definitely been to a sad zoo where you're like, oh, all these animals are like pacing up and down in the cages and they look really distressed and it's really concretey and sad, and you're like, oh no, I shouldn't have given these people my money.
Yeah, that's how I feel like my neighbors think about me right now. What are the
bad
zoos though?
There's actually 2 zoos in Berlin, and the Berlin Zoo is internationally acclaimed, and then there's one called Tierpark, which is the not Berlin Zoo, also in Berlin, and it's pretty dire. I ended up going there because I wanted to go to the Berlin Zoo, and I had a friend in Berlin, and when I was there, I was like, oh, let's go to the zoo. And she had actually promised her partner at the time, oh, we're going to go to that zoo together, and didn't want to cheat on that promise with me. Right. So I didn't go to the zoo with her, and we went to the other zoo. We went to the bad zoo. And yeah, it was pretty miserable. Like, it was kind of funny in like a shit way, but it was also sad for all the animals.
Yeah. I'm just imagining they've just like kind of built like a nightclub, and they've got gorillas as security, and they're just playing loud techno music and making It wasn't
BoJack Horseman, but yeah, it was pretty depressing. And it was clear as well from all of the visitors. Everyone was kind of looking at each other like, yeah, we didn't go to Berlin, so what were we expecting? There's shared understanding of we could have been somewhere else. But yeah, we went to Orana Park in Christchurch, which is slightly focused on bigger animals. So they got lions and zebras and giraffes and gorillas. They got the only gorillas in New Zealand, and yaks and bison and apes, and yeah, it was pretty good. I can't say it's like a necessary visit, but I enjoyed the couple of hours we spent there.
Did you get bored after? Because every time I've gone to a zoo, I feel bored by the end. I'm like, let's get out of here.
You gotta choose your route, because we actually started on the worst side of the park, which in terms of first impressions, like all the old stuff, all the worst exhibits, and we were like, oh, okay. And then because of that, the longer we spent there, the closer to the newer and better animals and stuff we got. And so in the end, I was like, okay, cool. This is like, that's a good lion exhibit. Okay, that's a good ape enclosure.
The better animals.
Yeah. Like no one wants to see lizards really that much, but you do it when you're at the zoo.
Yeah, of course. Lizards,
you know what you mean. Like you go through all of the
what's your like ideal animal to see in its natural? This is kind of a different question to the zoo, but like, what would you love to see most in its natural? It's like you're dead, right? And God's just like, okay, one of the perks of heaven is you get to just like be right there with an animal, watching it in its natural habitat. Where are you going?
Yeah. Well, because I haven't actually done it, I think an African safari would be really cool.
Oh yeah.
Like getting out into a savannah and just like seeing shit running around in like properly big spaces. That'd be pretty cool.
We did that in Sri Lanka. That was pretty damn cool. And you see like these herds of. It's so much different. It's so much better seeing these animals in their like wild habitat, just being like the tour guide's just like, look, we may not see anything today. We don't know, because these animals are just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And so when you see one, I mean, we saw like this herd of elephants. Like we were driving around for like an hour or so, and it was looking like we might not see anything. And then they just stopped the truck, and he's just like, look to your right, and there's just like this massive elephant with like a cub, and it's with like other elephants, and you're just sitting there, just like sitting in this like majestic, naturalistic environment. You feel like you're not meant to be there in a way, but it's like
voyeuristic almost. Like you're peeking in at something that should be happening without you there.
Right. Yeah. And elephants are weird because you don't like, it's weird not interacting, but like encountering animals that you almost never like have an encounter with, because you don't know how. Like, I'm just like, it took me to get there to be like, wait, are elephants dangerous? I don't know.
Well, and also,
like, no, elephants are fine.
Also, in that instance, like, they're intelligent, right? Like, they know that they're looking at humans, right? They would have some idea of what you are, right? It's different to being like, oh, there's a bird. The bird, the bird's not going to know what's going on. It's just like, oh, we found a cool toucan or something. But like when it's one of those big creatures, you're like, this guy knows what's happening. There's like
a consciousness behind it almost.
Yeah.
It's I always think, like, what is this animal? Like, even if it is a bird, I'm always think, like, what is this animal thinking? Like, what are dogs thinking? What do dogs think cars are? What do dogs think music is? Like, I would love to just be a dog for a day.
Well, and I mean, there's things like people have put pianos into pens with elephants, and the elephants would just like tinkle on the keys, right? like they'll use their trunk and they'll just like press the things, and obviously they're pretty shit, but it's still kind of.
Do it again.
You're out of key. They're doing it, and it's making a noise, and they keep doing it, so they're getting something out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there is something that they're enjoying about that thing.
Yeah.
Is it that it's making a noise they haven't heard before? Is it that they're like that tonally it's actually something? Because when you think about animal calls, right, or like whale song and stuff, we know that animal brains do respond to pitch and frequency and stuff, and interpret it. Like they can differentiate it. Yeah. So we know that they can hear the distinction of it. But what is it? Why would an elephant play on the piano?
Yeah. Have you ever, like, we live in a tiered place over here, and there are often birds up on the top floor that come. There's like a power line that's kind of at eye level with our top balcony, and sometimes if you're just sitting up there and there'll be a bird just trying to scope out the landscape, and you walk past birds all the time, and they become so much a part of your life. Like, when you wake up in the morning, you can hear birds.
Yeah.
Like, you get so used to it, but it's kind of crazy that these birds are up there and they are singing these songs, and they're not just singing any old shit. They're singing maybe not a tune, but I guess it is kind of a tune. Yeah. To signal, like, you just think, okay, this bird's just being a bird, singing along, whatever. But no, the bird. Why is the bird singing? The bird is singing because he's wanting to communicate to another bird that he's found food, or he's saying, "Hey, I'm here. You can come fuck me, maybe." Yeah. Or, "Hey, I found a whole patch of worms. You guys want to calm down and eat these worms with me?"
These are some pretty offensive stereotypes about bird behavior. I think that we've moved on past, oh yeah, all birds eat worms. Think a little bit about what you might be perpetuating with these kind of harmful cliches.
I like that. It's and octopuses, fuck, dude. Oh, and do you ever think, like, wouldn't it be crazy to just show, like, a caveman, like a Neanderthal music? Like, would they get it if they showed them a classical piece of music? How would they react? Would they think would they be scared? Would they automatically think it's beautiful? Does it go? How far back does tonal recognition go? Like, if you played them a symphony, how would they receive it? Like, is it learnt? Do you have to learn what music is?
Well, do you think that cavemen didn't, like, sing to each other? Like, they could grunt to each other and speak to each other. So they had some level of communication, right?
Music is clearly deeply ingrained within us. Like, it is a complex and confusing thing, because it's like this. I get the the beat, and it's like this unification thing. You can feel like there's a reason why, house music or something is it set at the same BPM as the heartbeat and stuff. So there's definitely that. There's kind of like this not biological, but like
it is like our circadian rhythm is like it's literally called the circadian rhythm, the biological rhythms of our body. It's no coincidence that it's using the same terminology there, right? It's our life is punctuated by these intervals, whether it's the heartbeat, whether it's like day to night, whether it's like sequences and that kind of stuff. Like our brains recognize patterns. Music is patterns, right? Like I feel like,
but you're speaking like rhythmically there's patterns, but can we recognize? I feel like the rhythmic patterns are primal and deep within us, but are the tonal patterns as deeply ingrained?
Melody.
Well, if a caveman heard like a chord, would the caveman be he or she? That's what I was trying to be inclusive to all cave people. Would they recognize it as something beautiful if you played the Mozart? Like, do you think they would?
I don't know if they'd recognize it as beautiful. I don't know.
Then how did we come to think of it as beautiful?
We're different species to cavemen, so we have bigger brains and that sort of stuff, right? So at a certain point, as our brains expanded and our communication centers developed and that sort of thing, it probably was born out of our understanding of language, right? Like that's the same side of the brain, that your language center and your musical center, right?
I guess, yeah. Or what if you played Radiohead to Beethoven? What do you think of Radiohead? Would he just be like, this is so futuristic to me? Like,
well, it would be
electronic music.
So many levels of bizarre to him, because it's like, I don't recognize any of the instruments.
Right, yeah.
Like none of the noises that are made are things that he would recognize other than a piano, right? So sonically, it would be... I mean, that's actually kind of interesting because... You know the show Westworld?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It was an HBO show. I don't know if you ever watched it, but and you probably don't need to be honest. But it was this show where it's set in the West, but it was like it was a futuristic West, right? Where it's like a theme park where there are robots in it, but it's designed for people to go and live out their worst fantasies. And so the stylistic choice that they made was that in all of the saloons and that sort of stuff, there were... what is it? Pianola? What's the automatic pedal piano versions of
pianola is
pedal piano versions of, or like saloon piano versions of modern pop songs, including several Radiohead songs. And so it's interesting to think, okay, if you extract the musical piece written by Radiohead, and you put it in an instrumentation that Beethoven was familiar with, would that help him to understand or
definitely
enjoy it more than, or would some of the appeal for him as like a musical genius be the allure of, I've never heard this before?
Well, I think if you just played a Radiohead song on piano to Beethoven, he'd be like, well, first of all, he's deaf, so he'd be like, I can't hear anything. But I think he'd just be like, this is shit. Probably. Because it doesn't translate. But then, like, what's music gonna sound like in 300 years?
I mean, that's almost impossible to predict, right?
But I know,
I reckon it would be...
I want to be alive to hear it.
I reckon it'll be closer to us than our music is to Beethoven.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like we've crossed the digital and electronic threshold, right?
Yeah. No, because from the 80s, I reckon music changed. Well, music changed massively, in like the 40s to the 70s, and then from the 80s to now, basically, like when they started introducing computers to make music.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different other...
But there's so many different eras across that as well. Like... I think the sound the instrumentation, the actual thing that we hear 300 years from now is not going to be wildly dissimilar to what we hear today. But
Yeah.
I the genre of it is probably going to be a bit different.
I mean, Nick, 300 years, I think it's going to be unrecognizable. Like,
but our human brains still have a limitation, right? So I suppose it becomes a different question of, okay, have we augmented our brains a little bit with like technology at that point? That's a separate issue. But like there's still, we know that we know what harmony and like major and minor chords do to the brain in various forms and why certain things are satisfying as a chord progression and that kind of stuff. Those fundamentals are still true.
But I guess it's going to be more of a, I don't know, maybe like a 3D experience, which is tough because you've only got two receivers for music, which is your ears. They can only go in to two holes to get into your brain. But I feel like my hunch would be that music will evolve to be like 3D sound or something like.
But that is 3D sound. It's just, I mean,
there'll be something that we can't
here.
imagine. There'll be something that we can't imagine.
There's two questions here. One is the technology of it. How is it being broadcast, created, and put into your head? And one is the actual musicality of it itself, right?
Yeah.
The construction of the melody and the song. So I think we need to put aside the technology thing because I agree with you. There'll be technology stuff that we can't anticipate. There'll be like resonance and frequencies of where you've got like a chip in your head and it's broadcasting directly into your brainstem and it feels like your entire body is like vibrating with music or something, like AR style 3D audio, like you're floating in a sensory deprivation tank and you're just like absorbed in the music or something. There'll be that kind of crazy technological shit. But musically, do you think realistically Beethoven and us are writing on the same scale?
I mean, there's only 12
scales,
notes, are there?
Same chords.
Yeah.
We're using different, have a different appetite for different tonalities and different genres, but at a certain point, I think there's still going to be writing on, a piano keyboard even in 300 years.
Yeah, I agree. And there's it's kind of it's kind of baffling already that you don't have two songs. Like you can have two songs, you can have a million songs that have the same chord progression that don't sound the same to you.
Yeah.
And like I was listening to that new Sufjan Stevens songs, which I'm obsessed with, by the way.
Video games.
Fuck, I love that song, man.
It's a real good song.
But that's a really simple song.
Yeah.
And it's, I was thinking that the chord progressions in that, I'm like, I've heard these chords a million times before, but music is comprised of so many parts. It's anchored by chords and it's anchored by melody and it's anchored by the rhythmic pattern or the drum beat. But it's so much more than that. And that you can have all those things be the same. You can have a 100 BPM to C, G, D song for the whole song.
Yeah.
And yet you'll have a different synth, or you have and it's like it'll be a completely different song.
Infinite possibilities, yeah.
And so you'll have. It's funny to think that we have the same scales that they'll be using in 1,000 years. Like the scales aren't going to change. There are only.
It's literally
12
physics,
notes,
right?
I'm trying to look at my synth here. Is it 12 notes?
Yes,
on
12. 12. But then you're getting into the like weird in between notes as well, between semitones and like there is variance, but for sure. Like we're literally dealing with physics where the frequency of like a note is like a waveform, right? So there's literally only so many notes, right?
Yeah.
So many things that we can hear.
I would just love to. I mean, and the other thing is they're going to have like every decade is kind of represented by music in a lot of ways. It's like music and fashion it kind of represents the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Like that's kind of defines a decade to a degree, don't you think?
Yeah, the aesthetic of it.
The aesthetic. And they're going to have names for new genres of music in 2312. There's going to be like this genre of music that's popular and this type of fashion. And it kind of just kills me that I'm not going to see it.
Yeah.
You know, in like 100 years, we're not going to be alive.
Yeah.
That's, oh man, I don't know, bums me out. Bums me out and it doesn't bum me out because we're obviously.
If you're lucky, you might get to 2100.
Oh, I'm definitely not going to get to 2100, but it's just weird thinking that you're not going to live. I was watching this video on YouTube of this 97-year-old philosopher who had like 2 months to live, and they did this like I think it was The Atlantic did this short documentary on this philosopher contemplating his own death, and he said he like really choked me up because he was like he was so rational about it, and I feel like I identified with his rationality of death. It wasn't like, oh, I wish I did this and I wish I did this. He was just like, I'm looking at in 3 months not having consciousness. How does that make me feel? And one of the things that really got to me was that he was like, I sit out on my veranda on my he's got like a deck, and I'm looking at these trees and I'm looking at the sunlight hitting the leaves and stuff, and I have seen he's just watching the trees like sway in the breeze, and he said, I've looked at these trees millions of times in my life. I've looked at them so many times, and yet I haven't noticed them. And knowing that I'm going to not be alive to see this, and he wasn't like, I'm gonna go to heaven. He is, doesn't believe in God or whatever. He's just like just literally contemplating not existing anymore. And he's like, my brain isn't gonna receive this data from the universe anymore. I'm not gonna see flowers. And he was like just choking up just by thinking of that, and it was really profound.
Yeah, it's it is the ultimate shame of life, right? That it's finite, but that's also why it's special.
Yeah.
He sounds like he was quite the perfect person to be eloquent about that kind of concept and realization as he approached the end.
Totally. I think because you don't see those types of people actually comment on death. It's often monopolized. Death is monopolized by, well, I think the things you just happen to see are people who don't think about, or it's too scary to think about death as rationally as that. And if you're someone like you and I who feel that death is just going to be the end of consciousness, it's kind of, in a weird way, it's comforting seeing someone else kind of explain how they're feeling, because if we're lucky, and that's the other thing, if we're lucky, Nick, we'll get to a point where we'll be able to actually contemplate our death if we're not suddenly killed.
Yeah.
So if we're lucky, we'll get to a point where we'll be able to contemplate our own death. And like, I'm 31 now, and I'm like, I don't know if it's COVID or whatever. I'm like just constantly, I've got more time to think. So I'm just like thinking about like the idea of not being alive anymore. Not in a morbid sense. I'm not thinking about death necessarily, but like just thinking about the
mortality.
idea of not existing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of like thought exercises, like, it's going to be the year 2110, and that's going to be a year that I am not there. But the year 1998, I wasn't there either.
Yes, you were.
1990? No, I wasn't. I was born in 1989.
You said 1998.
Oh, well, I meant 1988.
Yeah. Sorry, I know it undercuts the quite poignant moment you're getting to, but you listed a year that you were definitely there for.
I always do that when I listen back to these podcasts. Sometimes I realize that I will like say something and you'll be like, you didn't say that, and I'll vehemently deny that I said what you were accusing me of saying, and then I clearly said it. I just like say things that I don't mean all the time. Like I just say the wrong thing and I just think I'm saying something else.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sorry to have ruined the profundity there, but it made me laugh.
But yeah, anyway, I went on a really big tangent there. I apologize.
This whole episode was a tangent, but I enjoyed it a lot. It felt like we got through a lot of different interesting places.
It's nice to have like a topic there as like a backup.
Yeah. We did have a whole topic prepared, but it just didn't go there, so we'll save it for next time. If you want to go on more wild and exciting tangential rides with us, then please explore some of the previous episodes that we've got. It's all in the podcast feed. Make sure you jump onto Apple Podcasts and have a scroll down, pick one at random which sounds interesting. Use Overcast or another good podcast player and just dig into the archives. You can also join us on facebook.com/deep4. There's a lot of lovely chat there about parsnips, and I just feel like we've kind of undersold it this episode, but it was a bit of a big deal. Twitter.com/deep4. If you want updates when an episode goes live, you can send us emails and comments and thoughts to deepfort@gmail.com, and we will read them out on the show like we're about to do. And Instagram. Instagram is where Michael puts out photos, and you can too.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking very trim.
Am I?
Yeah, have you lost weight?
I've been trying to eat 2 meals a day.
Oh, why? As in skip breakfast?
Well, not necessarily. I've just been eating like at brunch time and then just at dinner time. So kind of skipping lunch. Yeah. But I don't feel that trim. I was feeling like a bit. I feel because I haven't been working out. I was before the pandemic. I was going to the gym like 2 or 3 times a week, and it's kind of depressing that I just like lost all muscle. Like I feel so doughy. Like not doughy, but I just feel soft. I hate feeling soft.
Yeah.
Don't make the dick joke. But I have every intention of like working out at home, but I just keep making excuses, and it's hard to motivate yourself at home.
Yeah, I understand that.
Do you go to the gym?
No, but I do work out. I mean, my my routine originally was just going for runs, and that's something you can do from home. And then when my knee started to play up and I had pain when I was running, I needed to strengthen it, so I started to do exercise at home, and then that sort of became like a bit more of a regular thing, is that I got into home workout stuff. And now, actually, at the moment, it's like 5 days a week for me, because I've always done Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or for the past few years at least, those have been my workout days. But since going to the physio, I have a whole bunch of leg strengthening exercises and stuff I need to do to fix my knee up. And some of that takes like half an hour. So because you have to do it every day, it ends up that I'm sort of working out 5 days a week properly, and even on the weekends having to do some of that as well. So thankfully
isn't Casey a personal trainer or something?
He's not a personal trainer. He goes to CrossFit every day.
Right. He's pretty buff.
He's pretty buff. He's
a good-looking rooster there.
He is a good-looking rooster?
I don't know. I think you say good-looking rooster. That's the saying.
You say good-looking rooster.
I usually hear it, but
that might be just someone using a euphemism where they didn't know how to like say anything to you, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're a good-looking rooster," And you're like, a what? And like, oh, it's a thing. Oh, okay, cool, great, thanks.
I'm pretty sure people say it.
He has got lots of muscles. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah. Does that make you feel, really
very horny? Yeah.
Okay.
No, it doesn't make me feel inadequate.
You actually, when you put up that Instagram video, I was like surprised.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't like blown away either, but I was like, he's more toned than I would have guessed.
Cool.
You don't really show it off because you don't really. I mean, you were wearing a tank top in that.
Yeah.
By the way, I didn't delete it, but I took it off the highlights.
Yeah, I saw that.
Thing.
Yeah, you don't get to have it twice when you haven't put up one yourself.
Well, I actually have recorded mine. By the way. I recorded it weeks ago. I just haven't put it together because I had a bit of a grand idea.
Okay.
So I just haven't gotten around to piecing it together. But it's all the footage is all in the tank.
Okay. Well,
we're in a very similar process. I mean, with Good Grief, and I mean, we're both in post production right now. So I'm sure you can empathize a little.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the hardest part. You're just looking at it and thinking, oh, why did I get that shot? Oh, we could have used another take there, but sometimes budget prohibits. Your grand vision.
I know exactly how you feel. Yeah.
Should we do a mailbag? It's been a while.
Please, yeah.
Mailbag, it's the weekly mailbag.
Deep thoughts mailbag. Oh, okay. Let's jump into the old MB and see what we got here. Oh, I don't know why I'm faking this. I already looked. I wouldn't have brought this up if I hadn't checked to make sure there was emails. I'm sorry. Just a little bit. A peek behind the curtain. Yes, I knew there was some emails here. Okay. Okay. Are you happy? Are you happy? I'm a fake.
This is objectively one of the funniest segments just because it's just us. Imagine if another podcast had a segment where it's just them reading out their emails. I mean,
I'm sure that other people do.
This is why
emails.
We're the greatest podcast of all time, Nick. Is because we put we sponsor the wrong posts. We have the wrong kind of segments. We have no idea what we're doing, but we do.
2 emails this week. First one from my new frenemy because he backed you instead of me, Sean. Sean sends in an email. Subject, laugh track. I just noticed recently that I've started doing a bizarro, double bark, Mickey Mouse adjacent laugh. Explain.
Wait, okay, read that again. I don't know what it meant.
I just noticed recently that I started doing a bizarro, double bark, Mickey Mouse adjacent laugh. Explain. I don't know what a Mickey Mouse adjacent laugh is. How does Mickey Mouse laugh? Okay. But double bark?
It's been a while. Wait, is he saying he's doing this?
He's just noticed recently that he started doing a bizarro double bark Mickey Mouse adjacent laugh.
Why does he want us to explain the weird thing that he's doing?
How does Mickey Mouse even talk? I can't picture what Mickey Mouse is like. Okay, are you good?
He talks like this.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good, actually.
Well, what does Mickey Mouse say? Give me something to say. Give me something topical to say.
Pluto, go get that bag of guns.
Hey, Pluto, why don't we get a bag of guns? That's pretty good.
That's
I didn't
pretty
even know
good,
I could do
actually.
that.
For you, just off the bean, that's pretty good.
Thank you. It must be like deep. I used to play on PlayStation a Mickey Mouse game.
Okay, that might be it. But what does Mickey Mouse's laugh sound like? Oh, Mickey Mouse laughing for 10 hours.
Oh, I've got that as well. Do you want me to play it on the mic?
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking annoying.
Fucking horrifying.
I just found my new alarm tone.
Sean, if that is what your laugh sounds like, you have a medical problem and you need to go see a doctor.
So is he laughing at us?
I don't know. I think this is a moment of self-reflection.
Does he know that he emailed us this and didn't just write this in his notes?
It was possible this was a mistake, and that this is actually meant to go to his doctor, and in fact, it's been broadcast now on the internet.
Well, this is actually always what I always wanted to happen with this podcast, except we don't have the listenership for it. But I wanted people to write in with just their personal issues, and for us to give them some sort of advice. So let's give him advice.
Okay.
What do you think is?
I think what's actually the most revealing part of this is that he feels insecure about the laugh. Most people, I don't think, worry about their laugh, regardless of what it sounds like. But Sean's written in self-conscious about it. And so I think that actually suggests a degree of emotional insecurity about it. So I really want to know, Sean, why are you so lacking in confidence by this new sound? Don't you feel like you should be able to go through your life laughing however you want to laugh, whether it's like a normal person or like a bad person?
Well, there's a few unanswered questions here. Is that, I mean, you know the guy. I've never met him. How did he laugh before? Has it actually changed, or has Sean changed?
I don't think I've noticed a weird Mickey Mouse double bark laugh, but his normal laugh is kind of like
annoying.
So maybe it's a slight upgrade.
I mean, maybe, and this is conjecture, but I know that some people's laughs actually change when they've gone through a trauma or a traumatic event in their lives.
Okay, are you picturing this as a Joker situation?
Maybe. I mean, I don't want to put laughs in his mouth, but you might get, like we said before about the accent thing. You might, maybe he's been
hanging around with Mickey Mouse for a bit long.
He might be, or just a Mickey Mouse type of character.
Sure. What we're saying, Sean,
either way, I think you should go definitely see the doctor. I think you should see the doctor.
Yeah, go see a doctor.
I think Sean should go into the doctor and say, my laugh has changed, and I don't know what to do about it. And the doctor will be able to help you.
Second email tonight from a Jeff Shadle, my father. Ooh. It is entitled, Attention Michael, or Someone Else's Problem. Oh
my God.
That's a callback to last week.
Oh my God.
Hey, Michael. I'm with you,
Hi,
mate.
Dad.
I've started not eating vegetarian curries. I get it big time. Enjoy. Jeff. So Dad's on board with your departure from the vegetarian lifestyle.
That is so fucking funny. I saw he also tweeted us.
He has tweeted us a little bit. He's a devoted fan.
No, that's very funny, Jeff. And by the way, my personal email address is michaelsabrecki@gmail.com if you just want to chat.
You're friends on Facebook. Why do you need emails?
Yeah, but that's yeah. Yeah, I have very much been enjoying. Look, I love meat. I really, really love it, and I felt like I was saying this to Emma the other day. Being a vegetarian is not like, I think some people just like, Emma hates the taste of meat, so it's easy for her. But like, I felt like every day I was vegetarian, it was like kind of holding the dogs at bay. It was a tough thing to do. And
I respect that more in a way. Like, Emma's kind of got it easy, doesn't she? She's not really trying. You were actively trying real hard.
No, yeah, it's like this is definitely a bad analogy, but it's like being a pedophile. I imagine. It's like there are some pedophiles out there that don't act on their impulses.
I can't believe you're going with that analogy. vegetarianism is like being a pedophile.
Okay,
Michael's
okay.
Brecky.
It does sound shocking, and I'm not equating them on a moral level, but they are analogous. They are analogous.
You're sticking with this. Okay.
It is. It's like there is a correlation there.
Okay. No, so, go on.
I felt like one. I mean, now I'm just. I mean, if we're going with the analogy, now I'm just. I'm back out in the community, and I'm at playgrounds, and okay, regret.
Oh, Jesus Christ.